Hello everyone. Today we are together again for another English tense video, simple future tense. We will, as usual, see some demonstrations on the timeline diagram and talk about how to use simple future tense properly. We'll talk about time expressions, positive, negative, and question forms of it. And finally, we'll do some practice. Let's not forget our proverb. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. I'm sure you will get sweaty enough, you will study hard enough to understand, learn how to use English tenses, 3 main and 12 subtenses properly. Let's get started. When is simple future tense used? It is used when we plan or make a decision to do something. Let me repeat that for you once more. When we plan or make decision to do something. Here comes our example. I will study English this evening. Let's see it on the timeline diagram. There you go. Okay, this is a specific time in the future. I will study English this evening means that I plan to study. I made my decision to study this evening. How can I understand this sentence is in future tense? Will plus verb 1 and time expression of future tense. And our format is will plus verb 1. Instead of will, I can also use to be, going to, plus verb 1. So let's not forget, we'll talk about a little bit more in the following minutes. Will, I can either use future tense with will plus verb 1 or to be, going to, plus verb 1. What do we use simple future tense for? Number 1, actions, for actions decided at the moment of speech. Number 2, thoughts, predictions, promises, assumptions, fears about future. Number 3, requests, for requests or offers. And number 4, for future conditional type 1. Well, let's get into detail one by one. Actions decided at the moment of speech. Here comes our example. I have a headache. See the picture? This gentleman holds his head. Probably he has got a headache. I have a headache. I will take a medicine. Here, the action is decided at the moment of speech. He's holding his head. Oh, I have a headache. I will get a medicine so that I'll feel more comfortable. So right that moment when he feels that he's got a headache, he decides at that moment to take a medicine or pill. Here comes another example. The phone is ringing and she says, I'll get it. So right at that moment the phone is ringing, ring, ring. He or she says, I'll get it. Number two, we also use simple future tense for thoughts, predictions, promises, assumptions, and fears about future. Okay, let's read our example. I think I will get a raise this year. Okay, this sentence starts with I think. Can we say that we can use simple future tense for thoughts? Why I'm saying this way, that way? Because I think I'll get a raise this year. That's it. That's the kind of thought, right? Here comes another one. It's raining. I'm afraid we'll get wet. I'm afraid. Isn't this a type of fear? Fear is about future. We also use simple future tense for fears. Yes. Number three, requests are offered. Will you come with me to eat something? That's an offer, right? Or will you give me a hand to move these books into my house? That's a request. So we also use simple future tense for requests and offers. And finally, future conditional. We have three types of future conditionals, type 1, type 2, and type 3. For type 1, we use simple future. If it doesn't rain, we'll go on a picnic. So that's an if clause. If simple present tense, comma, simple future tense. We use in type 1 if clause, simple future tense. Here comes another one. If you study enough, simple present, comma, you will pass your exam, future tense. So we also use future tense in future conditionals type 1. An example in simple future tense. He says, Barack Obama, ex-president of the United States, he says, if I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure everyone has access to inexpensive health insurance. Here, he says, I will make sure. Isn't that a kind of promise? So for promises, to make promise, we will use simple future tense. Here comes another example. I promise I will love you forever. He says to that, this gentleman says to that lady, will you marry me? He's on his knees and he most probably makes a marriage proposal. And she answers, oh my God, yes, I will. So here in this example, we actually see three different usages of will, future tense. Number one, promise. I promise I will love you forever, it says. I promise. So that's a promise, and as you can see, sorry, will future tense is used. Number two, will you marry me? Isn't that a kind of offer? Yes, it is an offer, and we also use will to make offers. And number 3, decision made at that moment. So when she doesn't know that this gentleman or her friend or her partner is going to make a marriage proposal, but when she hears that proposal, she thinks a couple of seconds and says, yes, I will. So decision made at that moment, for decisions made at that moment, we also use future tense. There are 2 ways in simple future tense. You can make a sentence with simple future. 1, will future tense. 2, to be going to future tense. And we use future tense for a specific time in the future. In how many ways can I do that? In 2 ways. I can say, for example, they will win the game tomorrow evening. Will future tense. Or they are going to win the game tomorrow evening. To be going to future tense. But both of them, both will and to be going to future tense refer to a specific time in the future that shows why we use will or to be going to future tense. Both, by the way, can be used to say what is expected to happen in the future. We already mentioned that. I will see you next week. I can also say, I am going to see you next week. Even though there is a slight difference between will and to be going to future tense, we can use one instead of other. We'll talk about it in detail. It will rain. Nothing happens if I say it is going to rain tomorrow or it will rain tomorrow. I think she'll faint. I think she's gonna faint. So I can express future actions in 2 ways. Number 1, by using will future tense. Number 2, to be going to future tense. By using to be going to future tense. Let's talk about when. When is used for something that will do in the future. We use when to express something in the future. Okay, here comes our example. He says, when I am old enough to go to university, I will study at Cambridge University. When I get there, I will let you know. So we use when to express future actions. Please keep it in mind. Let's see simple present and present continuous with future meaning. Let's see how this becomes possible. Here comes an example. Hurry! The movie starts in 10 minutes. I'd like to attract your attention here. This sentence is in simple present tense, but by using future time expression, this sentence in simple future tense gives us future meaning, expresses us future meaning. Here comes another one. The sale ends tomorrow. Ends, verb plus s for third person singular. This sentence is in which tense? Simple present, but with the use of future tense time expression tomorrow. This sentence gives us a future meaning. Here comes another one. We leave at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Again, the same thing. Simple present with future time expression, therefore with future time meaning. This is different. We are leaving at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. This time, this sentence is in present continuous, but again with future time expression, which is 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Even present continuous form can express future meaning. Let's see the positive form. I will work on finish my report later today. The sun will rise at 6:03. Tom will visit his parents next week, and they will paint the fence blue on Tuesday. That's an affirmative type. It's not negative. It's not in question form. It's in positive form. Okay, let's see the negative form. I'm just going to put not, basically. I will not come to the party tonight. I can also say it won't instead of it will not. I can also say it won't be cold tomorrow. We will not be back in 2 hours. And I will not cook this evening. Let's eat out. Finally, question forms. What am I going to do to make a positive sentence to a question, turn it to a question? I'm just going to bring the helping verb, which is will, as an helping verb of future tense, to the beginning of the sentence. Will you play a game with me this afternoon? Will she stay at home this weekend? Positive question. Will you help me move furniture into the house? Again, positive question form. This is a negative question form. Aren't you going to tell me the truth? Why? Because are you not going to tell me the truth, or aren't you going to tell me the truth? That's a negative question form of will, or to be going to future tense. Now, let's see I mentioned that we were going to talk about the differences, slight differences between will, future, and to be going to. Here it comes. To be going to and will, future tense. Let's see. To be going to future tense expresses a plan for the future. What does that mean? We use to be going to future tense for our planned action, organized action, arranged actions. Here comes an example. I'm going to visit my uncle tomorrow. That's what I planned before. So tomorrow I'm going to visit my uncle. I'm sure of that because I planned it. I arranged it. What about will, future tense? Expresses a sudden decision, not a planned action. Expresses a sudden decision. decision made right at that moment. Or we can also say spontaneously. Okay, well, I will have lamb instead of fish. You're going to a restaurant, the waiter or waitress gives you a menu, you check out the menu, and you see lamb, fish, chicken as a main course, and you right there make your decision and say to waiter or waitress, I will have lamb instead of fish, because you made your decision right that moment. You were not planning to go to a restaurant and eat lamb. You made that decision right there while you were looking at menu. Again, real future tense, it expresses an agreement to do something. Or a promise. I will keep my promise. I promise I'll keep it. I'm going to do what I tell you to do. Or what I'm going to do what I already told you that I'm going to do. Okay. But both will feature and to be going to future tenses are used to make future predictions. Let's give example. She will be the president someday. She's gonna be the president someday. So even though there are differences between will and to be going to future, both of them can use to make future predictions, as in the same example. I will visit Paris one day. It's in simple future. I am going to visit Paris in my honeymoon. It's in to be going to future. Okay then. What is the difference between these two? Both are in future tenses. One of them in simple future. The other one of them is to be going to future. Yes, there is a difference between them. I will visit Paris one day. It's a wish. It's just a wish. Okay? But I am going to visit Paris in honeymoon. It's more than a wish, because you plan to visit Paris specifically in your honeymoon, for your honeymoon. So it's more than a wish. You're kind of sure about this. Simple future tense is used for decisions made at the moment of speaking. We already mentioned that before. Let's see an example. Okay, I will see you this evening at 8. On the phone, for example, let's say, you are trying to set a date or time as well with your friend. Okay, she says or he says something, you say something, and at last, finally, at that moment of speaking, when you're on the phone, you say, okay, I will see you this evening. He says at 7, you say at 7, I've got stuff to do. What about 9? And your friend says on the phone at 9, I also have something to do. What about 8? And you agree at 8, about 8, right that moment, at that right moment of speaking, And you say, okay, I will see you this evening at 8, or all right, I will see you this evening at 8. So we use will future tense for decisions made at the time of speaking. What about to be going to future tense? We use to be going to future tense for decisions previously made. What does that mean, previously made? It's a planned action. We are going to get married. 2 months later, 2 weeks later, soon, no matter what time it is. I can understand out of this sentence that it is a planned action, not a spontaneous action. Another example, I am going to go on vacation next month. You planned about it. You set up a date for your vacation. That's why you use this sentence with to be going to future tense. Okay, let's talk about to be going to and will future tense. To be going to future tense is used for action with plan. On the other hand, will future tense is used for spontaneous action. Okay, let's see the examples. I am going to go on vacation next month. Let's say that's an action with plan. On the other hand, the phone is ringing and you say, I'll get it. So that's a spontaneous action. We use prediction with evidence in to be going to future tense. Example, look at those dark clouds. It's gonna rain. So you predict by looking at the sky and seeing dark clouds, and you figure or you deduct, you come to a conclusion that it's gonna rain. So to be going to future tense is used for prediction with evidence. What about will future tense? Will future tense is used for promise. For a promise or an offer. I will help you tomorrow. I promise. Number 3 for will usage. Invitation. Will you come to my party? You're inviting somebody to your party. Will you come? Will you come to my party? And we also use simple future, will future for requests. Will you please help me? That's a request. Will you please help me? And finally, we also use will future tense for predictions with no evidence. But we use be going to future tense with evidence. That's also the difference between them. With no evidence, I think it will rain tomorrow. Do I have an evidence? No. But here, for example, you might have heard about the meteorology's news on the television, and you can say, it's going to rain tomorrow, most probably, but here you use will future tense with no evidence. Let's see shall versus will. Shall I use with first person singular I and first person plural, the subject we, and I use will instead of shall with all of these subjects. But shall is used with I and we. Plus word one after shall and will, we use verb 1 and object, of course. Let's give two examples, or an example, the same example. I shall be playing football, or I will be playing, or I will play football. What I would like to attract your attention here is that because the first person singular I can also use shall and will, but shall is not as commonly used as will. I can't say he shall. Why? Because that's not I or we. I can only use shall with I and we. I cannot say he shall. I can say he will play football. Okay, let's compare shall and will from the perspective of usage. Shall is used for suggestions. Shall we go for a walk? Shall we go on a picnic? Shall we go to cinema? Shall is also used for offers. Of course, with which subjects? First person singular I and first person plural we. Shall I help you with those bags? So, isn't it an offer? Shall I help you with those bags? Yes, it is. It's an offer. Number 3, I use shall for asking for advice. What shall I say if she calls? Okay, asking for advice. We also talked about will, but we didn't talk about shall before. We haven't talked about shall before. Right there in how many ways we use shall is already on the whiteboard. Okay, shall again is used with I and we, but will is used with all of the subjects. Time expressions for simple future. Tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, tonight, next week, next month, next year, the next time, later, soon, in short, in a few days, in 10 minutes, in a month, etc. On Sunday, on Monday, on Tuesday, we can also use for or as future time expressions. He's going to paint his house next weekend. He's going to travel by plane tomorrow morning. He will visit museum on Monday. We will be back on Friday afternoon. Here is the David's timetable. Let's do some practice and use future tense to express what David is going to do. He will get up at 6:30. He will have breakfast at 7. After will, I always use word 1-4. He will arrive at school at 7:45. He will have a math class as his first lesson. I'm just continuing. He will have lunch at 12:30. He will go home at 1500. He will have his dinner at 1800, and he will go to bed at 21:30. Okay. Now a sentence is going to come, and I would like you to look at it carefully and answer this question. Is this sentence below grammatically right? If not, what is the mistake? Here comes our sentence. When you will arrive tonight, we will go out for dinner. Does this sound grammatically correct? When you will arrive tonight, we will go out for dinner. That is scratching my ear a little bit. And something seems to be wrong here. Future tense cannot be used in clauses beginning with time expressions such as when, while, before, after, by the time, as soon as, if, unless. So if I'm using these time expressions, then I cannot use future tense. What am I going to use? Instead, I am going to use, instead of will future tense, I'm going to use simple present tense. Right? When you will arrive, I cannot say, instead I will say when you arrive, instead of saying when you will arrive. Let's do some practice now. We're going to fill in the blanks with will and won't. No need to take umbrella. I think it won't rain. Joe, be late. He's never on time. Joe will be late. He's never on time. Eat something or you, be hungry on the way. Eat something or you will be hungry on the way. Unless you prepare well, you will fail the test. Unless you phone him, he know about the incident. Unless you phone him, he will not know or he won't know about the incident. Okay, this time we're going to put the words in correct order. Subject, you will go out tonight. Ben will go dancing tomorrow. They, subject comes first. Helping verb comes after. They will get married in June. What is our format? Subject plus. Sometimes helping verb comes after subject. Sometimes main verb comes after subject. So subject, helping verb or main verb plus object plus time expression is our sentence structure. It won't be cold next week, right? Subject, helping verb, and time expression. Okay, we're going on. She will travel by car. People won't live on the Mars. Gary will move to New York and London. Sorry, Joe will go to London. Or there's a question mark here. That's a question. When will Joe go to London? This time we're going to put the questions to the underlined words. Okay, Jenny will go to her granny next week. The underlined words, I'm going to ask question, where? Because it says to her granny, to her granny. Where will Jenny go to next week? Jason will buy a new TV this year. What will she buy? What will she buy? What will Jason buy this year? My family will move to a new flat in a month. In a month? When? When will my family move to a new flat? Frank will study at the university next year. Who? Frank? Did you say Frank? Yes. Who will study at the university next year. Okay, we're going on. I will play at the sports ground in the evening. Where? Where did you say? At the sports ground. Where will I play in the evening? Monica will buy a new dress for the party. What? What will Monica buy for the party? My sister will make a cake for my birthday. What will my sister make for my birthday? And finally, her friend will come from Italy on Christmas. When will her friend come from Italy? So, who questions, as you can see, are important. That helps us to ask question to get the answer what we want to get. Okay, this time you can answer the question. That's an open question. What will you have for dinner? Where will you go on holiday this summer? You can answer it. What will you do on weekend? And when will you go to the cinema? All right then. We talked about in this hour simple future tense. We showed some demonstrations on the timeline diagram, talked about format and usage, talked about time expressions, positive, negative, and question forms, and finally we did some practice, because practice makes perfect. Thank you for listening.